So I copy this, Control C, and then I will go to the test package here and Alt insert Java class, mark it as Singleton, and I will put test here. So our test class is created now. Now to save some time again, I will copy the test cases from the previous chapter. So let me copy it from here, and then we will make necessary changes accordingly. So let me copy all this tests and Control C and Control V. Okay. I think there are a lot of changes required because this Singleton chapter is totally different, even the way that we create this object back. But anyway, let's make changes here. So let's go to our setup method first. So I will change the name of this Control C, Control V, so that our serialization file is correct. So the setup method is looking good now. Now let's check for serialize and deserialize. Because we want to mimic the same JVM instance process. I mean, we want that serialization and deserialization should be running as a same JVM instance, so that we have got the same Singleton object for both serialize and deserialize. So I will combine both serialize and deserialize into one unit test case. So for that, what I can do is that first let me change the name of this, that test basic serialization and deserialization for Java Pojo with Singleton pattern. Okay, and I will go here and I will do Shift F6 and test serialize and deserialize. Okay, so I have refactored this name as test serialize and deserialize because, as mentioned, that we want to have a single JVM instance, which means that we only use one unit test for testing both serialization and deserialization. Now, as we know that we cannot use market data directly from with the new operator because it's a Singleton pattern, and we have to use the get instance method that we have created. So I will call it as market data Singleton dot get instance. Right. If I go back here, so it will be returning me this instance, which is created at the time of initialization nodes. Okay, so let's go back. So we have got this market data Singleton pattern, Singleton object here. And now the setters are looking good. So we are setting all those, giving a state for this. And so first of all, once we create this, right, as I mentioned that we are not overriding equals to hash code, which means that when the hash code is created for this, it will be returning from something unique, which value from the memory address of this object in the heap. So what I will do is that I will get market data, the object that we are creating here, and get the hash code of it. So hash code is a unique memory address, and I'll have Control Alt V, and I will mark it as a object hash code. Okay, and also I will use final var here because we're JDK 11. Okay, and then we actually serialize it now. And now, as we mentioned that we have to test the deserialize method here again. Serialization process is looking good, so we are getting this out, and then I will deserialize it by writing a unit test case here directly. I'm calling a non-test method here. So for that, I will remove this test deserialize method because I want to just use it as a normal method. So I'll Control Y, which marks this test deserialize as a unit test. And now I will call this from here and pass a variable, something as final int object hash code. So here I copy this and paste, and I will mark it as int because var we cannot use for arguments, method arguments. And now let's call this test deserialize and pass this object hash code. This object hash code is what we have got before this instance object was created at the time of serialization. So it is throwing some exception, so I will declare it. So add exception to method signature. So all these methods, a class not found exception and all, it is added to the method signature now. And now we have, let's write our test deserialize method. I'll mark a comment here as deserialize and read the same instance. Okay, the same singleton instance. Now let's write our deserialize method. So this part is looking good. We will deserialize it back. I will change it from market data singleton, market data singleton. Okay, and then we have got this after serialization from serialize. Okay. Now here, now is the most important part that we have to check, that whether this from serialize is exactly the same instance which was serialized. And how we can check is that by comparing the hash code. That's why we are passing this hash code to this test deserialize method. So first of all, let's print out this from serialize.hash code. Okay, and then we will do assert equals. So let me copy this from here, and okay, for assert equals, we have passed this, right, object hash code. So this should be exactly same as the instance should be exactly same as this from serialize.hash code. So this will ensure that if they are matching, it means that we have got the exact same instance which was serialized and not the copy which is created during the deserialize method. This is what we have done in our readResolve method here, where we are returning the instance of the deserialized copy of this. Okay, so once this is asserted, now let's assert the other fields. So it should be same as what it was here. So it should be apple, and all this should be same as here. So let me change this. So it should be apple, and I will do Shift Alt Insert to choose the column because we just need to change it as 1, and then Shift Alt Insert again to come back to the normal mode. So we'll also assert all these fields here. Now let's also I will debug it so that we know that what's going on. So I will create a debug point here, and let's go back to our test unit test class and debug this test case. So I will click on debug here. So here it will get the instance and set the object. We are passing this object hash code here, which is very important. Okay, so our test is running now, and we are in the readResolve method here. Okay, so now it means that our read object has already been run. We can check that in our console that the read object was already done, and it has got a copy of the original object when we call this default read object. And now we are at readResolve method here. And again, let me press just so now we have got the copy of the deserialized object that we have got, and we have printed the hash code. And the hash code is something as 8077 something. And we expect that this should be different than the instance one. So let's check it out. So you can see that this is the original singleton instance having a different hash code, which means that these two are different objects, not the same object, because their hash codes are different. Hash code, as mentioned, that it's always the memory address in the heap, and it is calculated from there. The default implementation in object class. So again, let's go and press F8, and we are here, and we want to assert that this serialize is now exactly same as the instance. So again, we have printed this hash code method here. Let's see. So we can see here that from serialize hash code is exactly same as the instance one. And that's why we have implemented this readResolve method, because we are actually returning the original instance, not a copy of it. We are actually returning this instance, and that's why once we deserialize it back, we are getting the same hash code, which means it's the same object which was serialized. I mean, this instance object. It's all looking good. So we'll just run this now in F9, and it all worked. So actually we used hash code to assert that is the same instance object after the deserialization using the readResolve method. So guys, let's revise what we have done in our unit test cases. So I will just Control Alt L here to remove. Okay. So setup method is exactly same, and we are using the only like one unit test case to mimic the one single JVM run to just have the singleton instance object. And this is how we got it. We got it get instance method first, and we set the state of it using the Apple security ID and setting all those private member fields. And we actually copied the hash code of this object, which is the singleton object instance. And then we serialized it. And in the same JVM, we actually called this method for test deserialize to assert that after deserialization is the same instance, not the copy of the original object. In the test serialize again, we did this everything same, and once we got this from serialize back, we asserted that the hash code which was serialized is same as what we get from the deserialization process. And after this is asserted, which means that objects are same, and then we also asserted the fields which were exactly same as how it was serialized. So guys, this was all about chapter 20, singleton pattern and readResolve method, that how we use readResolve to keep the single pattern intact. In the next video, we'll cover chapter 21, which is using object input filter. So see you all in the next video.